Hello, everybody, and welcome again to Nerd to the Third Power, your one-stop shop for all things nerdy and awesome. I'm your host and master of ceremonies, Dr. Gonzo. With me, as always, this epic quest of awesomeness is our resident anime goddess, the Cat. Cat, how are you doing?
I am barely alive as per the norm.
Yeah, rough work week.
Well, I'm now, so it was going to be a decent work week, and now it's going to be rough.
You're sick again? Is it the pneumonia acting up, or is this some new vicious hellbro that you've contracted?
I'm pretty sure I have a cold or a sinus infection, but last cold turned into pneumonia, so I'm just crossing my fingers.
Okay, Brian, make a note. For Christmas this year, you and I are going halvesies, and we're buying Cat an immune system.
We were supposed to buy an immune system last year.
Okay, and that, of course, as the cat's already out of the bag, Brian is also here with us this week. Brian, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing better than I was doing that for the last couple of weeks. That is for sure. Things have finally settled down in my state. And now we just have to worry about Florida.
Yeah, Florida and the Keys, Puerto Rico and the surrounding area. Everybody that's in Irma's path. So yeah, for those of you that are being taken to Pound Town by Irma, we hope that you're all safe and that that you guys get through this all right. I know a mutual acquaintance of mine and Kat's is down there, and yeah, it's she's having a bit of a rough time of it right now. So if you're listening to this, Punky, we hope you're all right. Alrighty. But of course, we have a very exciting show this week. Something that we've been kind of bugged to talk about for a while, and which Kat has wanted to discuss for a while, being a huge mega fan, and that's Game of Thrones. We're going to be looking at the recent season that ended, and kind of casting our eyes forward to see what might be coming in the future. So yeah, that's going to be loads of fun, and I can see the Cat is already salivating over the prospect of this discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, just kind of lean back. I don't need you drooling on the board there. That's expensive audio equipment. Just if you could, yes, thank you, please. Alrighty, but of course there is procedure to follow, so we're going to begin as always with the random topic of the week. And last episode's topic was movie magic films, movies or TV shows or what have you. That every time you see it, it always feels like the first time. I think my big one was Terminator 2. Kat mentioned Lord of the Rings, and Brian, I think you said Ghostbusters?
I said Star Wars mostly.
Star Wars? Okay, Star Wars.
I said a lot of things last episode.
Okay, all right. Well, we got some responses here. Jerry writes that his movie magic movie is the original Back to the Future. He feels less so about the second one, and he won't even touch Part 3.
Which is odd, because Part 3 is not really that bad of a film. I don't know why it gets so much shit.
I don't see. I mean, it's certainly a lesser film compared to the first one, but I wouldn't call it a bad film by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Sheila writes in that her movie magic movie is Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Very good choice, Sheila.
Ooh.
So you want to talk about a movie that's aged like fine wine? Who Framed Roger Rabbit? That's one. Okay. Let's see. Jeffrey writes in that his movie magic film is The Iron Giant. Ooh, getting into the kind of some of the more underrated stuff there. Okay, all right. Iron Giant, fine choice. Let's see here now. Paul says that his is The Goonies, and that for his sister, who's also a listener of the show, Lisa, hers is Flight of the Navigator. So, which kind of lends some credence to what I brought up when we first brought up this topic, that there's something just about films from the late 70s through to the 80s that they just have kind of a timeless quality to them that you don't really get from a whole lot of eras. And let's see here now. Okay, here's one from Rachel, and she writes a bit disbelief towards you, Kat, that you didn't say Jurassic Park, but she said that she will say it herself.
Someone was bound to.
Yep. So we got a lot of great responses here. So of course, we love hearing from you guys about your for your input on the random topic of the week. And since we're not gonna come up with a new topic this week, since this is the last episode of our rotation, so we're not actually gonna be here next week. And Kat is raring to go with our discussion, so we're gonna segue straight into the Ask a Geek, and we got some questions here. And first question here comes to me from Latoya, and she asked what I think of a video game that's in development called Scorn, which is if you haven't seen trailers for it, look it up. I think it's the only way that I can really describe it is picture a first-person shooter in that takes place in H.R. Geiger's imagination. Literally everything in the game is alive, including your weapons. I can't begin to describe it. I'll put a link to the trailer underneath the YouTube feed. But definitely, I'm definitely excited. It's definitely one of the most unique first-person horror games I've ever seen, and that's because it's not. See, the problem that I have with first-person horror games is so many of them are either walking simulators or they're just first-person shooters with a horror-themed coat of paint, where you play as generic Space Marine number 9,642, and you're just blowing shit away. And it's like, okay, yeah, Doom gets a grandfather clause because it was the originator of that trope, but I kind of play a horror game to be afraid or unsettled, or in the case of Scorn, nauseated to the point of unconsciousness. Like, seriously, this game is fucking disgusting. But I'm really excited, and I'm really looking forward to it. And let's see. So we've got a question here for Kat, and this one is from Donna, and she asks if you watch Sword Art Online at all, and if so, what are your thoughts?
I did watch the first 2 season arcs. I don't know where they divide the seasons there, but pretty much after the fairy arc, I didn't watch it anymore. It was just getting a little too weird for me. And not even the incest being uncomfortable and weird, even though it is.
That was not something I expected to hear in this conversation at all.
Dude, we're about to talk about Game of Thrones. We're not getting out of this episode without talking about incest more than once.
Well, yeah, but I thought that that the incest would at least wait its turn in discussing Game of Thrones. I didn't expect it to pop up in an anime where the only thing I know about it is that everybody seems to love that blue-haired chick with the green coat.
Yeah. Anyway, Sword Art Online, it's there's the whole I'm in love with my brother and he's not really my brother, but we're basically brother and sister, but I'm in love with him, but we're not really brother. Whatever.
I think the name for that is Onagai twin syndrome.
It's definitely some sort of weird brother sister con that Japan is completely obsessed with. I don't understand. But in any case, that's not even what bugs me the most about that season, although it is right up there in my top 5 problems with that season.
When the incest is not the thing that turns you away from something, that means that you're in for some fucked up shit. So let me just... Am I gonna need a barf bucket for
No, it's not like that. It's just the first season was actually really good and really interesting, and there's a lot of really cool stuff that was happening, and the animation was really great. And then they sort of put all that on halt for the second season, the fairy arc or whatever it was, and everything kind of sucked. And I'm told it gets good after that, but there's all kinds of, it just gets so weird. There's some of it's in the real world, some of it's not. Are there card games on motorcycles? Is that what I'm understanding what goes on in there? Because I'm just too confused, and it didn't keep my interest enough to keep watching. But I really enjoyed that first season.
Okay. All right. And she's got a second question, which is, are there any upcoming anime that you are especially looking forward to?
The Bride of the Ancient Magus, or Ancient Magus's Bride, or Magus, or however it is said in the order of those words. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. It's this weird, they releasing it as a 3-part, kind of like a film experience, because they released it in theaters in Japan. And I think they released it in theaters here too, but parts 1 and 2. But the spacing out between them is so ridiculous. It's taken a year to get all 3 parts of it out, which if it was, if it was 3 distinct stories for one franchise, I could get on board with that. But it literally is okay, we're ending off on a little cliffhanger and now you got to wait. And I'm if I wanted that, I'd just be watching Game of Thrones.
Which you can't even do that for another, 2 years?
Oh my God.
The season's over.
It's going to be such a hard, long wait.
Yeah, and meanwhile, the people who just read the books and don't watch the show are looking at you and going, "Oh, you're cute."
That's hilarious.
Let's see here. Ray writes in with a question for me. He asks if I have been paying attention to the Bethesda Creation Club since it's been rolled out for Fallout 4. And yeah, Brian, it's it's turned out worse than we were imagining the last time we spoke about this.
Well, I think it turned out worse than what you were imagining because I wasn't imagining anything.
So, I can tell you, I definitely wasn't imagining them basically stuffing your hard drive with stuff that you didn't want or pay for, but you were going to have anyway, because that's basically what's happened. Not only is the stuff that they're putting out for the Creation Club stuff that you can get elsewhere, but they're basically forcing you to download the assets onto your hard drive, but you can't use those assets unless you actually pay for them. So they're basically forcing you to have something whether you want it or not, and then making you pay for it if you actually want to make use of it. Which not as big a bugbear on PCs, where you can pretty much have as much hard drive space as you can physically fit hard drives into your machine. But for console users, particularly PlayStation 4 users who have a cap to how much data they can have on their hard drive dedicated to a specific game, that's a real major issue. So what they're basically forcing hard drive bloat onto their customers. And the other thing that goes on with this is every time they put out an update with new assets, which is for a stretch was almost daily, they're also changing the executable that actually launches the file, launches the game. So if you're using the Fallout 4 script extender, that's got to be updated every time they update the exe. So now the team that's working on that has basically got to continuously update every single day just to keep up, so people can keep using the mods that they've been using for years. So the Fallout 4 community is not too happy with Bethesda right now on the whole, and us in the Skyrim community are kind of just keeping our backs to the wall and wondering what's going to happen when it comes to be our turn. So
awesome. I'm sure somewhere someone understood half of what you said. I wish it was me.
Here's one from Daniel, and he asks if you could be a part of anyone's super team, what would it be?
Justice League International.
Okay, why that one specifically?
Because it's my favorite Justice League incarnation ever. That's the one that came out when you had like the Mischief character. Well, not Mischief characters, but you had Batman, Black Canary, Guy Gardner, Blue Beetle, Booster Gold, Martian Manhunter. It was the idea like this would never take off, but it became a great series of books. So yeah, Justice League International.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All right. And let's see. Do we have any other really good Ask a Geek questions here? Let's see. Bima, you're always good for one here. Let's see if we got one here for you. No. Looks like Bima's taking a break this week. All right. That looks like about all the Ask Geek questions that we have for this week. Thank you as always for sending them in. As always, you can send them to us through the email at drgonzo@nerdofthethirdpower.com, or you can drop them in the comment section beneath the YouTube feed. We do occasionally pull out questions from the YouTube feed. So, get your questions in one way or another. Maybe it'll get read on the air. And so with that, now that we've eaten our vegetables, let's get to the meat of this episode, the part the cat is pretty much shaking with anticipation for, and that is our discussion on the 7th season of HBO's Game of Thrones, which is probably one of, if not the most watched shows, or at least most talked about shows on television right now. I think it and Walking Dead are pretty much neck and neck.
Actually, Walking Dead's sort of fallen off the wayside a little bit. I haven't heard that many people talking about it anymore. It's all Game of Thrones all the time.
I feel so bad for people who don't watch Game of Thrones and yet work with other people. Because every Monday when I would come into work, it would be everybody would have to stop what they're doing to talk about it. And everybody who didn't watch it would be like, roll their eyes and leave.
I feel bad for one of the workers on my regular shift, because he's the only one on our shift that watches Game of Thrones. So he'll come in every Monday morning and be like, "Did you guys see Game of Thrones last night?" For the 15th time, Hassam, no, we don't watch Game of Thrones. And he gets all sad face.
More's the pity.
That may be why he transferred to a different shift, so that he could talk Game of Thrones with other people on the team. So, but yes, the 7th season has just wrapped up, and there's been a lot of feelings about it, good and bad. So, Kat is pretty much held us hostage here to discuss this Game of Thrones. So, so Kat, let's just the floor is yours. Give us just a general thoughts on this past season.
I have so many thoughts and feelings. My overall thoughts were there's positive and negative ones. The negative ones I'll start with that it was extremely rushed. It was such a great shame that this season was a short season. Normally the seasons are 10 episodes, and this season is 7. So they had to really rush stuff, and we're used to watching the characters travel. Things take time, and this one was just like bam, bam, bam. Everything just had to happen very, very quickly, and so you did kind of really miss those 3 episodes that should have been there. There was a couple of little character quirks, not really character quirks, but character decisions that sort of made you think twice about the writing. Why does it take Jaime so long to realize Cersei is fucking insane? Why does Euron exist at all? Why is Dany such a bitch, Jon? Stuff like that. And then my major beef with this season was that the direwolf ghost does not appear at all. And considering how much of it is set in the North, there's really only one reason that ghost didn't appear, and it's because they spent all of their CGI on dragons, which was the most amazing part of the season, was just so much dragons. The season was really great for a lot of things. They did kill off quite a few major characters. Not as many as you'd think for being this close to the end, but they did kill off a few major characters in the world. But the send-off for Olenna Tyrell's character was absolutely stupendous. She was so fabulous. When they finally killed off Baelish, it's just great. There's gonna be a fucking zombie ice dragon. So many.
I'm sorry. Once more in my good ear.
The zombie ice dragon. So happy and sad, okay. But oh my god. So much really intensely emotional, anxiety-driving stuff happened this season. There was a lot of really, really good reviews. There was a lot of not so great reviews, but it was the highest viewed for the series by far, despite there being massive episode leaks. So I think that is sort of telling in itself. It was a great season.
Yeah, certainly a larger number of reviews. I think I've been looking at some of the numbers here. This is the highest viewed season of the series so far, and that sort of kind of raises my eyebrow, because normally when a series goes on for so many years, you tend to see viewership kind of drop off as time goes by. But Game of Thrones seems to have gotten a shot in the arm this season. Why do you suppose that is?
There's a couple of different reasons. First off, to understand the difference between when the show started and its viewership now, its viewership started at around 2 million, and now it's at about 10 million per episode of the new season. And even last year, the average viewership was between like 7 and 8, maybe 9 million, and we've been holding steady at 10 or more. So it's actually a huge leap, and I think part of it is that there was such a long wait. There was a longer than normal wait between seasons, so we were all aboard that hype train once it was starting to get close. Like, the trailers were coming out, were amazing. All the information coming out was just like the hype. There was no way it was ever going to live up to the hype that built in that extra 6 months or however long it took. So everybody kind of knows this by now, but it's one of the highest budget shows on television, period. Every episode of the previous season cost around $10 million to make. So just one season has a movie budget, and we knew because there were going to be less episodes, we have left. I mean, we know how many episodes are in the 8th season, and then it's done. So everybody's scrambling. We know the budget is going to go up per episode. Some of the episodes are going to be longer. Just incredible quality of all the special effects, all the CG, everything coming out of this season just looked phenomenal. So I think a lot of people came in knowing it was going to look great, and that if they didn't watch it now, they're not going to have too many more chances left. And then also, as much as it pains me to say, but part of the reason why I think the viewership has kind of gone up so much is because the show has been more fun in the last season was the first season where everything was pretty much completely deviating from the books. And the 5th season was a trudge. It was kind of miserable to watch. I still enjoyed it and I love the show, but there was so much misery and unpleasantness going on. And the 6th season finally brought a hope back into the show. And it's because they had run out of material from the original author. So there was a lot more fan service, you might say. Fights that we wanted to see, characters coming back in that we really wanted to see, a lot of stuff that was just straight up pandering to the fans, and we loved it. And then I would say, and maybe this is just me talking, but one of the other reasons I think more people have been interested in watching this season is because there has been a boom in conspiracy and theory videos and articles.
Now, this is for conspiracies within the show or for the production or?
Within the show. Like, is this person secretly related to this person? Because that's actually a huge plot point. We all know that Jon Snow is a secret Targaryen. He doesn't know it. Almost no characters know it, but the audience has known it for years, and the show just took its damn time in confirming it. So that's sort of brought out, just especially in the last season, a million, every site, like friggin' Forbes, they're all going, what if this is because of this in the show? Like, after every episode, major news sites would be putting out theory articles. And I've got, Joe Schmo in my place going, hey, did you see this theory? People are saying that, Bran might time travel like this and that. And I'm like, yes, I've thought about this for months now because I've been addicted to this goddamn theory YouTube channels where I watch these goddamn videos all day and all night. I have a problem.
The life of a nerd.
Okay, all right. This has been Game of Thrones Aholics Anonymous. Kat, thank you for your share.
I'll be here next week.
All right.
The first step of recovery is admittance.
Okay. So why don't you give us, because me and Brian, the only thing we know about the show is what we absorb vicariously through others. So why don't you give those of us who don't know anything about what's going on sort of just a brief story run through of this past season?
Okay.
If
of
you
course,
can.
If you don't know Game of Thrones in the previous 6 seasons, you're not going to understand it very well. But I'll try and tell you guys as much as I can. So Daenerys Targaryen, who is the mother of dragons, she has 3 dragons that she hatched, and she has spent 6 freaking seasons working her way to the mainland of Westeros, where she was born and she's supposed to be the queen of and is not. And so this is the season where she finally returns to her homeland, has very emotional, begins her invasion, and it is rather unsuccessful at first because the Lannister forces, who are currently in control of the country, are just always one step ahead of her. They're joined by a guy named Euron Greyjoy, who has a huge naval fleet, basically. And he's psychotic and really, really good at killing people. And so his niece and nephew are on Daenerys' side, and their fleet gets pretty well obliterated by Euron's fleet. And then the Dornish group of people, they all get captured and are pretty much, it looks like they're out of the story for now, and that's kind of okay because their whole storyline has been butchered up until this point compared to the books. So it's kind of okay that they're getting phased out. And while Dany's army takes the Casterly Rock, which is where the Lannisters' home base is, had already abandoned it and went to another place called Highgarden, where the Tyrells are, and they're also on Dany's side. Are you following all this?
I'm sorry, say again, you cut out for a moment there.
Are you still following everything I'm saying? You got a great map in your head? Lots of arrows?
I just got one question. At one point, do we Sheogorath, the god of madness?
Well, probably next season. Because next season is going to be mad, but we'll get there later. Anyway, so basically, the Lannisters take out all of Dany's, her Westerosi allies. So the Greyjoys are down, the Dornish folk are down, and the Tyrells are down. And the Lannisters lose one castle that they were willing to give up anyway. But then Dany lets loose her dragons, and we get some best action scenes that this show will ever have. Because this is a group of people, the Lannister army is facing down dragons, which nobody has done in several centuries, and nobody really believed dragons would ever come back. And now they've got to fight 3 of them with swords. So, of course, they get obliterated. And it becomes very clear to Queen Cersei's brother, Jaime, who is one of the greatest knights in the realm, that they are definitely going to lose if they don't make an alliance with the Dragon Queen. Now, put that on pause. Meanwhile, in the Hall of Justice.
That's going in the episode.
Is that in the north?
It is, but it's called Winterfell.
Oh.
No, there should be a Hall of Justice there, though. There really should. Anyway, so up in the north, Jon Snow, the bastard, quote-unquote son of Ned Stark, has magically become king in the north. He won over all of the people, and he's doing his king thing, except he's really not good at it, and he keeps fighting with his sister Sansa. And then Jon hears about Queen Daenerys. She's got dragons, and they're like, shit, we have these fucking ice zombies who are going to come attack us any old time now. Dragons would sure be a nice thing to help take them out. And if nothing else, the area, the island where Queen Daenerys is now residing, has obsidian which they can use to make weapons that will actually defeat the White Walkers.
Assuming they have the blacksmithing perks to use it.
They actually acquire a blacksmith along the way. So Jon says, okay, I'm going to go down south. I'm going to go find this dragon queen. I'm going to at least try and get some dragon glass for us. Dragon glass is obsidian. And we'll see what happens. And his people are all pissed off at him because every time a Northern Lord goes south, they fucking die. So Jon leaves his sister Sansa in control, and then as soon as Jon's gone, his other 2 remaining living siblings show up one by one. Bran has come back from the north, from beyond the wall, where he has now become the Green Seer, the three-eyed raven, I think it's called in the show. So he's now got all of these crazy dream-seeing abilities. He can see and even potentially affect time by going back in time through his dreams and shit. It's really crazy, and it has severely messed him up, and his personality is like gone. And then their other sister Arya shows up after she's been away in Essos for a couple of seasons, becoming a fucking assassin. So the Stark kids are almost all back together now, and they are weird as hell. And they are caught up in a plot executed by Lord Baelish, who has been this scheming little weasel for 7 seasons. And Baelish is kind of grossly in love with Sansa. Kind of like how he was grossly in love with their mom. It's kind of gross. and he wants to win over Sansa, and he sees Sansa's sister Arya as a threat. So he tries to
So
pit them
I just want to
against
make sure
each other.
I've got the family politics here. He's in love with his sister and sees his other sister as a threat.
No, Lord Baelish is not related to them. He's a lord from another area. But he's in love with Sansa. And he
Okay,
was
all
also
right.
in love with Sansa's mother.
Okay, all right. So then, all right. Please forgive me. It is Game of Thrones. It's very easy to assume that everybody's just fucking everybody's sister.
The incest is not in the Stark family. Well, I say that, but
It's there, but we're just not talking about it this season.
it's there, and we'll talk about it in a minute. So anyway, while all of that's going on, all this scheming, trying to pit the Stark family against each other, Jon goes south to meet Dany. They do not really get on very well at the beginning, and but he comes to kind of respect her, and especially the fact that she has 3 giant dragons. And Jon's BFF Sam is in the Citadel, which is basically like a really big, awesome library where people train to become maesters, who tend to be like your doctor, scholar type person. There's one in every major household kind of person. And he is trying to find a way to defeat the White Walkers, and then he'll come back with that information and bring it back up north. So this kind of all culminates with all of the players kind of meeting each other for the first time. Jon meeting Cersei, everybody meeting Dany. It's really awesome that they all finally are meeting, but this also means that they're all wanting to go to battle against each other. And
Like you do.
like you do. And Jon has the hardest task of proving that the White Walkers are real, because nobody has seen them for like 8,000 years. So most people don't even believe that they're real. So he hatches this plan that him and a group of buddies, who we have dubbed the Suicide Squad, are going to go north of the wall while the White Walkers are preparing an invasion, and they're going to grab a white, which are the White Walkers is like zombies that they raise from dead people, because the White Walkers themselves aren't necessarily zombies. So they're going to go grab a white, bring it to Cersei, and they're going to show her that, oh, here's this zombie thing. This is what we're fighting against. We all need to work together instead of all fighting each other.
So it's basically the Game of Thrones equivalent of that drunken prank in college that you pull in college, where you sneak into the enemy school and steal their mascot.
Yes, it's a lot like that, except your enemy's school of zombies. And definitely people die. So they do this by whatever stupid logic the show is running on. They actually get a white, bring it down to Cersei. Cersei is utterly fucking horrified, because holy shit, they're zombies. Some shit goes down, and she goes, okay, yeah, you know what, I'll send my army up north. But she actually betrays them and decides not to. But her brother Jaime, who is actually honorable, decides to go north anyway. And basically everybody's heading back north by the last episode, because winter is fucking here, guys. It's fucking here.
Sean Bean was right!
They say the Starks are always right eventually, because winter will always eventually come. Meanwhile, Euron Greyjoy is heading back over to the continent of Essos to go get a sellsword army for Cersei to use. Sansa and Arya are up north, and they actually play Baelish at his own game, and they fucking execute him, thank God, finally. Sam leaves the Citadel and heads back up north and is reunited with Bran, who he met like one time, and together, pooling their information that they know, they realize that Jon Snow, the bastard current king in the north, is actually the heir to the Iron Throne, and that his father is not Ned Stark, but was the former Prince Rhaegar Targaryen. Unbeknowing all of this, Jon and Dany are on a ship home, and they have a little romantic relationship that they just totally just go fuck on this ship. So all the audience is like, yeah, there was so much romantic tension, but you're also related, and it's kind of gross.
Hello, incest, my
Only
old friend.
kind of gross.
And
somehow-
at no point in any of this keeping it in the family does a banjo ever go off.
No, because maybe lutes would be more appropriate for the setting. I'm not sure. But during the suicide mission, Dani lost one of her dragons, and I don't mean it wandered off. I mean it was definitely killed. And the White Walkers resurrect things and use them. And so they definitely come back in the last episode with a White Walker riding this resurrected ice zombie dragon, and they use it to bring down the wall.
Winter's here. Is everybody braced?
Yeah. Oh my god. So much crazy stuff happened this season, but I'm really glad that it ended with the wall coming down. And now it's not the whole wall, because even if you knocked down the wall, you wouldn't be able to even climb over the rubble. They knocked down a part of the wall that is next to the ocean. So
it's really more like a chip.
Right, they took a chunk out of the wall, but it's enough for them to get their army through, and plus now they have a fucking dragon. My only disappointment with that is that it does not breathe ice. It still breathes fire, but it breathes blue fire, which looks totally awesome. And as I understand, blue flame is hotter than red flame, so I wonder if this particular dragon is now a super power dragon. Crazy. It was an insane season.
I think is blue flame hotter than red flame? I think it's the other way around. I don't know. I'll have to consult my high school chemistry textbook on that one.
Blue flame is usually considered hotter because the colors go down. Red flame and orange flame is not that hot. Blue, white, stuff like that. That's the really hot stuff.
When you look at a candle, next to the wick, it's white and then blue, and then as it goes out, it's redder and oranger and shit.
Well, like I said, that's a discussion for chemistry class tomorrow. So, all right. So we've
I know. I feel like it is for now.
so we've got a rundown of this season, and we've gotten your positives and your negatives of the season. So what were some of your favorite moments of this last season?
I have so many because it really was a great season. I don't have a particular order for this, so just running with a stream of conscience here, but I really loved that Gendry came back in. Gendry was the bastard son of the previous king, and so he might actually have a better claim to the Iron Throne than Jon does. It's debatable. Anyway, Gendry came back in. He has been... The last time we saw him, he was, rowing off on a little rowboat, escaping the Red Witch. And we hadn't seen him since. So there's all these jokes about how the next time he comes in, he's going to have these massive ass arms because he's been rowing for 4 seasons. And they actually...
He's slowly becoming Popeye.
They actually make that joke in the fucking show. Sir Davos finds him and he says, "Oh, I thought you might have still been rowing." Just the audience fucking dies, but he comes in and he's getting to interact with a bunch of characters that we've never seen him interact before, particularly with Jon, because as far as they're both concerned, they're both the bastard sons of 2 best friends. Gendry's real father, Robert Baratheon, was best friends with Jon's supposed father, Ned Stark. So they're sharing these stories about each other's dads, and it's really, really quite a nice moment, especially because Gendry was told by Sir Davos, absolutely don't tell anybody who you are. We don't need this kind of drama right now. You don't know, what kind of a target it'll put on your back. And he just immediately goes up and he's like, "Hi, I'm Gendry. I'm Robert Baratheon's bastard son. Nice to meet you, bastard to bastard." Oh, it was so great. And he just had...
Bastard.
It really is.
They're bastardy bastards with bastard filling.
Yes. A smooth buttercream bastard on top. So it was really...
If we ever have merch, that's going to be a t-shirt with buttercream bastard on top.
A smooth buttercream bastard on top. Anyway, so Gendry getting to actually like meet some of the characters or reunite with some characters that he's never, or hasn't interacted with was just really great. And it was so nice that he actually came back in and then didn't die immediately. It was really fantastic the way he didn't die. One of my other favorite moments was Jon and Dany's first meeting. Even though Dany was a total bee the whole time, she had Missandei announcing her. This is Queen Daenerys Targaryen's Stormborn, Mother of Dragons, Breaker of Chains. She has all these titles that she's accumulated over the seasons. And Sir Davos is there introducing Jon Snow, going, "This is Jon Snow. He's king in the north." Like that beautiful pause there, like that gave birth to so many memes. That was great.
Is that where that comic strip that I keep seeing getting passed around, where John is coaching him on how he wants to be introduced?
Yes. Like we can work on that later. By far, I think my favorite part was the burning of the supply caravan, because it was the first time where we get to see the Lannister forces up against Daenerys' main army. So you have the Unsullied, the Dothraki, and then her dragons. And we hadn't seen, she'd been warned so many times, don't go into battle yourself, don't use your dragons right away, because you don't want everybody here to think that you're some kind of invader who's just going to kill everyone. You're going to liberate them. You want to come off as a liberator. And when that didn't work for her, she said, fuck it, I'm burning everything. So she finds this great supply caravan, because winter is coming. Winter is here, and all of the castles and stuff are trying to gather supplies to get them through the winter. And she says, fuck it, and torches the Lannisters' supplies, kills a huge chunk of their army. And it was such a great moment, not just for Dany and to get to see her dragons in gorgeous, gorgeous action, but it was a great moment for Jaime, because Jaime is one of these guys who, I love his character, but he's been making some stupid decisions. And for him to go into battle, and for him, again, to be one of the greatest knights in the realm, and to be so completely overwhelmed, he almost got himself killed. And for him to be so shaken and so disturbed by the amount of death that was going on. But there's a lot of death in Game of Thrones, but it's not always appreciated by the other characters for how horrifying it is. We see a lot of characters gleefully annihilate armies and stuff like that, but what we don't usually see is the characters themselves standing around looking at their countrymen on fire, burning alive and turning to ash before them, and to just drink in all of that horror. And I also think they said that that particular episode had the most stuntmen on fire that any TV show has ever had at one time. So it was just such a visual spectacle. It was quite anxiety. It was also amazing because it was one of the first times, if not the only time, where we have two foes opposing each other, and we don't want either one of them to win because they're our favorite characters fighting each other. And we were always going to get there at some point in time, but, we weren't quite ready for it yet in our hearts. And it was really, really emotional.
Okay.
That was fantastic. Another great epic moment was the Hound seeing his brother again. For those who don't know, the Hound and the Mountain are these two brothers who pretty much hate each other. And that comes from the fact that when they were kids, the Mountain burned half of his brother's face off for playing with a toy. And the Mountain is now like this walking zombie. There's a lot of zombies in a fantasy setting. It's quite surprising there are this many zombies. But he's like a science zombie and not a magic zombie. And his brother kind of looks at him and realizes that. And the Hound is just like, oh, I'm coming for you one of these days. And this is what we call Clegane Bowl. The Clegane brothers are finally gonna fucking duke it out. And they don't in this season. But we were starting to think it would never actually happen. So it's really, really exciting that they pretty much confirmed that Clegane Bowl is going to happen. It'll be the greatest sporting event of the year, doesn't matter what's happening in real sports.
Well, I guess that segues into our next and final segment of this discussion, and that is letting the wild and baseless speculation commence. And let's have your predictions for season 8.
Okay, it's going to be crazy because it is only going to be 6 episodes. We are hearing rumors that each episode is going to be something more closer to movie length. So I don't know if we're going to get 2-hour episodes or if we're going to get like 1.5-hour episodes. 1.5-hour episodes is probably more realistic. So first off, they got a lot to do in a very short amount of time. Jon and Dany are going to arrive north together after having done it, and the Northern Lords are not going to be happy. They don't like Targaryens. They don't like Southerners pretty much at all. I don't understand how they're going to feed all of these armies that are coming up north. I guess maybe they're bringing supplies with them from the south. But I'm really, really conflicted because I don't think the Northern Lords are going to enjoy Dany being there. Especially after Jon has pledged the North to Dany, when they want to be separate. They don't want to be ruled by anybody. They just want to have their own king and do their own thing. But Jon's kind of in love with her, so that's not going to happen because he makes stupid, dumb decisions. And I'm hoping very quickly Jon and Dany are going to find out that they are related, which would be nice if they had found out before they had sex. And I think there's going to be a lot of immediate mistrust and tension on Daenerys's half because Jon officially now has a better claim to the Iron Throne, which she has spent her entire life trying to get back. So even though she likes this guy, and they're actually the perfect couple, incest aside. No, that's what their family does. That's how their family do.
Make it right, but okay.
No, they're the perfect couple in the context of the series. She already spent her whole life thinking she was going to marry her brother anyway. What's the big difference between she was going to marry her brother, or now she's going to marry her nephew who's the same age as her? Anyway, gross. So, it will definitely be interesting. Dany is probably going to be a lot more mistrustful. Jon is probably going to be in shock because he's pretty much spent his whole life believing he was a Stark bastard and that he is truly a pure Northerner, and to find out that he's a fucking Targaryen, which is a totally different magic bloodline going on. I'm really hoping he'll ride a dragon, which again only Targaryens seem to do. That would be really fantastic. I'm surprised he didn't do it this season, but it was a little too soon. He approached a dragon, touched a dragon. The dragon kind of had a sense that he was a Targaryen. Hopefully he'll ride a dragon next season. It would be fabulous. Next season, the War for the Dawn is going to happen. The White Walkers are past the wall now. I don't understand how humans even fucking stand a chance because every person that dies is a new person in the White Walkers army. So even with dragons, this is going to be a hell of a fight. And the last war with the White Walkers, we don't know how it was actually settled. They say, oh, so-and-so beat down the winter and everything was great, but nobody actually says how they beat the White Walkers the first time. And there's a lot of rampant speculation that the White Walkers weren't actually defeated, that they made a truce with the humans. And so there's a lot of speculation, and I'm kind of holding to that the war won't actually end with a victor, it will end with truce. We'll see, because that's definitely the way it sort of looks like it might shape up for the books, but because the show was so far removed from the books at this point, they might just have a big epic battle because that's what the fans want to see. But I'm thinking there's still a possibility that in the show they will sue for peace and that they will figure out what the White Walkers want, because 7 seasons later and we still don't know what they want. Why are they coming south? Why are they raising an army? We don't know. I think
it's going to be something completely ridiculous that it's gonna be just Martin trolling everybody and going, look, we're pissed off that this guy 200 years ago stole a hat off of one of our guys. We just want the hat back. You give us back the baseball cap, and we'll go away. And it turns out
that would be amazing. Yeah, we've waited 8,000 years for this. There's so many different theories. There's a theory that they're looking for a queen because there are no female White Walkers, that they're looking for someone with the right bloodline to turn into a queen. There's a theory that they're looking for a new king. All kinds of stuff. The fact that they most likely share bloodlines with the White Walkers themselves were once human. And maybe they will be again, maybe they won't. They share bloodlines with most of the Northerners, though, so that'll be really interesting if they bring that into the show. Hopefully, though, they just figure out what the White Walkers want and figure out a way to make peace, because I'm pretty sure Cersei is going to be the last boss. She's such a fucking bitch that she just can't die. Currently, at the end of this season, she is pregnant. She is not sending her troops up north. She's got Euron going to get her an army so that once all the fighting in the north is done, they come back and try to invade, and with their depleted forces versus Cersei's brand new shiny army. That's what Cersei wants anyway. I don't know how that'll all go down. It's really too early to say. I'm just sure she's going to be the last boss to be defeated. I'm pretty certain she'll die, though. I'm pretty sure Jaime will kill her. And there's a whole Valonqar prophecy about her being killed by a younger brother, and she's got 2 of them that are still alive, and while Tyrion would be the most appropriate younger brother to kill her, Jaime has already killed one royal, and he could do it again. So that will be interesting. Oh, and Cersei's pregnant, and I am certain that she is going to miscarry because of that same stupid prophecy that says that she would have 3 children, and gold would be their crowns and gold would be their shrouds, and all of her children are already dead. So I don't think she's actually going to have another kid. I think that will be what spirals her into full madness, because she's already kind of crazy. And she'll just go absolute batshit, burn everyone crazy, like the old Mad King did, and then Jaime will have to stop her. I'm pretty sure that's how that's going to go down, but it'll be really interesting to see. Next season, we should have Clegane Bowl. I don't know how that's going to go down, but that means that the Hound has to survive in the North long enough to make it back to kill his brother, so that's at least one character who's not going to die, I hope.
Okay. So now, a question I have is, I've been hearing rumblings, can confirm or deny that the next season is going to be the last.
Yes, there's a lot to have happen.
So I guess now it's time to ask the big question, the one that we've had to wait 8 years and spend millions of dollars to get answered. Who do you think is going to get the Iron Throne?
I actually don't have a good prediction of who will be on the throne. There are several people who have really good claims to it, but Dany has sort of come in with the concept of wanting to break the wheel. And she doesn't want to break the wheel so much that she doesn't get the Iron Throne. But if Dany dies, which could happen, she's supposed to be one of the safe characters, but I just have a feeling it could go down either way. If Dany dies, I think there won't be an Iron Throne anymore, because most of the kingdoms that make up Westeros, that make up the 7 kingdoms, they really don't want to be ruled like that anymore. They were only united as 7 kingdoms because of Daenerys's ancestor Aegon the Conqueror. And before that, they operated as separate kingdoms. And I know that's definitely the way the North wants to go, the Iron Isles wants to go. They might just split back up, or maybe have some sort of democratic election kind of thing to put someone in charge. Whoever sits on the Iron Throne, if there still is an Iron Throne, will probably either be Dany or Jon, or Dany and Jon. It'd be kind of cool if it were Gendry, because he does have a good strong claim. But if he manages to make it through, he might inherit the Stormlands, which would be pretty cool. It's really tough to say. Because again, there might not be an Iron Throne left. In fact, if they're smart, they'll get rid of it. But also one of the main themes of Cersei is that she so resembles the Mad King, and she's definitely going the Mad Queen route. And the Mad King had stores of this combustible known as wildfire planted underneath the entire city where the capital is. And the Mad King was just barely stopped by Jaime from blowing up the entire city. So it is possible that Cersei might blow up the whole goddamn capital anyway. She already blew up half of it in season 6. So she might just say, screw it, and throw her hands up in the air and blow it all up. Because if she can't have it, no one can. So I'm fairly certain Cersei's not going to survive. I don't think Jaime will survive. Because I think if he kills his sister, which I think he will, I think he would kill himself afterwards. Best case scenario, Jaime gets sent up to the wall. What's left of it, I guess. Jon will survive because he's already friggin' died once. They're not going to do that to us again. Bran will survive. Arya will survive. Tyrion will survive. After that, it's anyone's guess. I'm hoping Gendry makes it through. I'm hoping Sir Davos makes it through because he's one of like the only actually good people in this stupid show. There's so many characters. It's hard to say. I could just sit here and list off all the people who are probably going to die, and it'll just be the cast. But most of the major players are now dead. So just those ones that I listed who are probably going to survive are the major. Brienne of Tarth had better fucking survive. She's one of the only other good people. Her and Sir Davos are like the two nicest, truest-hearted people in the whole of this stupid made-up world. And I need her to live.
Alrighty.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy next season. Again, they have a lot to do in a very short amount of time.
All right. Okay. So, and speaking of time, we've pretty much run out of it. So, any last general thoughts on season 7?
It was just such a great show. I'm gonna pimp out this YouTube channel that I follow. If you're interested in all kinds of theories and the conspiracy shit that I listen to every day at work when I'm bored, go over to YouTube and search for Secrets of the Citadel. It's a British girl named Gemma. She does amazing chapter analysis from the book, character analyses. Her and a group of people did live wrap-up videos after each episode, so those are still up online for you to watch. She does really great theory videos. She does a dark and disturbing video series about all the really creepy shit and like diseases and messed up murdery characters and stuff. It's really good to watch around Halloween. It's a fantastic YouTube channel. I listen to her practically every day while I'm at work. She uploads practically every day, which is why I listen to her every day. I highly recommend checking her out. When you watch her videos, maybe it's because she's British, where she just sounds so much smarter. So I feel like I'm like listening to a lesson when I listen to her. I feel smarter after listening to her. So anyway, if you're interested in those kinds of theory videos, like we all knew R plus L equals J, and it's because of sites like that and YouTube creators like that who we all knew all kinds of theories before they ever happened in the show. Check her out. She's really, really awesome. And that's all I have to say about that.
All right. Well, that's all the time that we have for Nerd of the Third Power this week. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. We'll see you in a couple weeks for our next scheduling rotation. And that's about it for this week. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. We'll see you next time. As always, I'm Dr. Gonzo.
I'm the Cap, profusely apologizing for talking this entire time.
I'm Brian. It's okay.
All right. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Taka, play us out.